Hello, everyone. So I'm on to talk about this full moon in Pisces. We have the full moon coming up on the 20th, I believe, of September. The times are going to vary depending on where you are in the world. So you might want to look up the time for you in your area of the world. I know I'm in Ontario. So for us, it's happening at, I believe, 7:49 or something like that p.m., but it's going to be different for everybody. It may even occur on the 21st for some of you if you're in the UK or that part of the world, or even Australia. I'm not sure. But I do know for here, us in Canada, it is occurring on the 20th, and for most of North America, it's occurring on the 20th. But anyways, it's at the point we're going to talk about this full moon coming up. It is in the sign of Pisces. So if you follow astrology, you will know what I mean. If you don't, I will show you what I mean in a minute. So we're going to jump into this and we're going to talk a little bit about it. So first of all, I'm just going to bring up the chart for this new moon. So you're going to see me disappear for a minute so we can talk about this. So this is the chart for the full moon. We have, so when I said the moon is in the sign of Pisces, that is what I mean. So you can see right here, oh, you can't see my mouse. I can't see my mouse. We have technical difficulties. Okay, so can you see my mouse now? Okay, there we go. I had it. I don't know why. Sorry, we are having some technical difficulties. So anyways, that little crescent moon you see in the corner, my mouse is not hovering over it for some reason. Mercury retrograde. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this here is the symbol for the moon. And the moon, as you can see, is in the sign of Pisces. So every full moon and new moon, it occurs in a different sign and it goes around the zodiac. So this month, this full moon is occurring in the sign of Pisces. Okay. Which is really, really awesome. It is occurring at 28 degrees as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We also have it occurring in a water sign. So we'll talk about what that means. And it's an immutable modality. So we will also talk about that, what that means. And we have some aspects going on with the moon. We have it opposing Mars. We have it conjoining with Neptune. We have it sextile with Pluto. And we're not going to talk about the square with the MC because that is going to depend on where you are in the world. And then we also have it opposing the sun, which happens with every full moon. So we're going to talk about this, and I'm just going to switch back. We're going to do this. So with this full moon we have coming up, there's lots of things. The biggest thing with this full moon is it is in the sign of Pisces. So with the full moon is a culmination of energies. It is all these energies are illuminated and they're at their peak, right? The full moon is the center point or the peak of lunar energy. So everything's at its maximum, everything's heightened. So if you have a hard time connecting to Pisces energy, this is a great time for you to kind of sit and meditate with that energy and feel it, because that energy is maximized. It's at its ultimate peak. It's the easiest to feel right now. If you are somebody who lacks a lot of water in their chart, It's a good time also for you to tap into those water energies because, again, they are at their peak. Water energies happen 3 times a year with 3 different full moons. So at any point, the energies are going to vary, the water energies, depending on what sign they're in. But again, it's a great time to tap into just the element of water and really being in the flow of things and learning how to go with the flow of things, right? So with the moon occurring at 28 degrees, numerically speaking, or speaking from a point of numerology, this narrows down to a 10, which narrows down even further to a 1. So if you follow like something like tarot, where you use the numerology of that, 10 is included in that, and 10s are about culminations of things, wrapping things up, concluding things, you know, moving on from things, releasing things, all that type of stuff. If you don't use 10 in your numerology and you only use the traditional numbers of 1 to 9, this further reduces down because 1 plus 0 is 1. So this further reduces down to 1, which has to do with new beginnings, which has to do with starts and initiations and standing strong and independence and all that sort of thing. So this is a good moon to wrap things up in order to start things new, right? It's a good time to be reflecting on what you need to be wrapping up and what you need to be starting, because we are at the end. So Pisces here, I'm just going to switch this over so you can see what I'm talking about here. Pisces, when you look at it here, okay, is the last sign of the zodiac. So it is before we move into spring. It is the end of winter, technically in the northern hemisphere. It's the end of spring in the summer hemisphere when you're moving into summer, right? It represents the changes of seasons. It is the last month of the season before we switch over into a new season, right? So again, it's all about changes. It's all about ending things and changing things up, right? Wrapping things up, ending them, moving into new phases, new things. So with the numerology being at 28, this is summing things up. It's ending things, it's wrapping things up. We also have it in immutable. So Pisces is also a mutable sign, which again is learning about adapting to things, learning about going with the flow of things. So if you are somebody who's really stuck with the changes and with adapting to things, this may be a full moon that kind of lights up these areas of your life where you're kind of stuck, where you maybe need to change things up. It lights up the areas of, or it lights up things in your life that you need to let go of, things that you need to release, things that you need to change and adapt to, right? Where you can be a little more flexible, where you can be a little more adaptable. All these things are going to be lit up and illuminated. So if these are things that you have been avoiding or have been putting off, or have, you know, if you've just not been doing the work necessarily, this is the moon that's going to pull all that out. Okay, this is a moon that's going to put it in your face, so to speak, so you can't ignore it anymore. So don't be surprised if you have things that you need to be releasing and letting go that you've been holding on to, that this full moon kind of pushes you to let it go, that this full moon pushes you to release it, okay? Because this is going to be the time of major release for a lot of people. This is the time of year where we are releasing things and letting things go and cultivating new things. So if you're in the northern or southern hemisphere of the world, this is heading into spring. You are cultivating new things. You know, when I said it pulls down to number 1, you're beginning new things. So this is also a time where it's going to show you like what's preventing you from starting the things you want to start, right? What is holding you back from moving forward and doing the new things that you want to do? All of these things are going to be lit up with the new moon. So you're going to feel a lot of this Pisces energy. So Pisces energy in and of itself is very loving, but it's also very deep, like emotionally deep. It is the ocean. It's expansive. It's loving. Like it's all about unconditional love. It's all about going with the flow. But the emotional aspect of it is very deep. It's a very wide, we'll say expansive. When you look at how much ocean covers the earth as opposed to how much land there actually is, there's more ocean in the world than there is land. So it's expansive energy, right? And it can kind of be overwhelming for people sometimes. But you could find that this is a time where you're looking at Pisces also has to do with our spirituality. So this is a time of year where we're analyzing and we're reflecting on our spiritual life and our spirituality and the things that connect us to the divine. And we're like, well, what's working for us? What's not? What beliefs are we holding that are maybe holding us back that we need to let go of? What beliefs do we need to maybe be cultivating more of? Not necessarily pulling things in, that's more the new moon. What do we need to be releasing, right? So that we can start a new journey. So on that note, like you could find yourselves like really being pulled to end a certain spiritual path. If you're following a spiritual path that's no longer resonating with you, you may find yourself wanting to kind of end that and switch to something else. If you are holding on to spiritual beliefs, those beliefs may be brought up this full moon so that you can release them. If these beliefs are no longer serving you, so you can let them go, right? Another thing with Pisces too is addictions. So Pisces is where we look to escape from things, right? Where we look to get away from things. And sometimes that can be addictions. It's also old habits. It's also things that hold us back, right? Our comfort zone in a lot of ways. So I'm going to say beware of this new moon of going back, or this full moon, sorry, also of going back to things, because that energy is so strong, right? That it may make us want to go back to things that are familiar to us because we're being pushed out of the old into the new. And sometimes that drives us to want to go back to what is comfortable, to what is familiar, right? So if you struggle with addictions, sometimes this energy of wanting to go back to that addiction because it's comfortable, it's familiar, right, is at its peak. So it can be a big struggle. If you are an escapism person and you just tend to like to stay up in your head and escape reality and not want to deal with reality, sometimes that energy can come through very, very much too and make you want to revert back to that, make you want to go back to old habits that maybe are no longer good for you, because again, that energy is at its peak. However, it's driving you that want to go back to that because you need to let go of it. So if you find that things are coming up for you that you really want to go back to, that's typically a good time to slow down and look at it, reflect on it, especially with Neptune right now being retrograde. It's a good time to reflect on it and think about, is this something that's serving my highest good? Is this something that's helping me move towards where I want to be and what I want to be doing? Or is this something that's holding me back? If it's holding you back, then you need to let it go. So with this full moon, there's a huge thing about release. Release and balance is the two main themes with this full moon. We have it in a water sign, so like I said, it's a very emotionally charged full moon. Okay, emotions are going to be at a peak, and you're going to feel them deep. They're not going to be intense, but there could be a lot of emotional stuff that you hold deep within you, such as repressed emotions coming to the surface, emotions that you kind of shoved it down. Like we're talking bottom of the ocean stuff that's now coming up to the surface, right? The moon is bringing it up. And that be prepared for that there could be a lot of really deep repressed emotional stuff coming to the surface for us to deal with and release with this full moon, and that's okay. So there is there's a lot of deep emotions involved with this full moon. We also have an immutable sign. So like I said, it's all about changing and adapting. This full moon is pushing us out of our comfort zone, out of what is familiar, and telling us it's time to change. It's time to move into the next season of our lives, of our journey. It's time to change things up a little bit. So you're going to find that theme. Deep emotions change, right? So when we get into the aspects of things, I had mentioned that we have the sun. Okay, we're going to talk about good aspects first, and then we'll talk about the more challenging aspects. So we have, let me flip this here, and we'll bring back the chart. So for the aspects here, we have, what do we have? You can see the chart down here. So we have the, with Neptune conjoined with the moon, which is really good, actually. So Neptune is retrograde right now, which is asking us to reanalyze our beliefs, reanalyze our spirituality, to go back over maybe things that we've been confused about, right? Things that we have had some haze and hesitancy around, to go back over it, analyze it, and it provides some clarity with things. I find Neptune retrograde kind of removes the fog, and allows us to get a little bit more clear on things that maybe we weren't so clear about before. So if there's been a lot of confusing emotions, or you've been really confused about your emotions, or about your intuition, or things like that, if there's been some struggles around things, now's a really good time to tap into your intuition, to find some clarity, because Neptune and the moon are conjoining, meaning their energies are blending together. So Neptune's clarity, when it's in reverse, it's pulling away from all that fog, it's clearing it out. The clarity that comes with Neptune retrograde, and it's conjoining with the moon, which is our emotions and our intuition, right? So we have a lot of emotional clarity, we have a lot of spiritual clarity, right? So it's a good time, if you've been feeling previously like really lost, really confused, really vague about things, it's a good time to tap into your intuition and get some answers. Really, really good time. So again, it's pushing us to look at what we need to do to move forward, right? What do we need to release in order to move forward? So Neptune is helping us with that, as far as providing us clarity on maybe things that have been confusing in the past, and providing us that energy to be able to clear through it. We also have Pluto. I'm just going to switch back over again. Sorry, guys. So we also have Pluto here. Okay, we're just going to go down here. So you can see Pluto is sextile with the moon. So if we move up into the chart, Pluto is up here in Capricorn, and then we have the moon in Pisces, and there's a sextile. Pluto is also retrograde. So Pluto is going back over things that we have needed to change and transform and release, and is allowing us to get second chances for that. So Pluto, I feel like Pluto is like, reanalyze what it is you've been needing to let go of, right? Sometimes we don't always get it on the first pass, so to speak. So Pluto goes retrograde, and it's like, now's your time to reanalyze this, to kind of let go of maybe some of the things that you have not let go of previously that you missed, right? So Pluto, again, is providing us the opportunities to dig deeper and to see beyond just the surface of things, in order to let things go and release them, right? It's allowing us to see beneath the surface. So Pluto is in Capricorn right now, which is allowing us to see deeper into different things to do with different things. Different things to do with Capricorn, which have to do with authority, ruling figures, people of power, all these things, all these secrets are being dug up, although maybe not dug up as much right now because Pluto's in retrograde. But you know, you're seeing trickles of stuff start to come to the surface. And then I feel like when Pluto goes out of retrograde in October, you're going to see a lot of more stuff come up. But Pluto is really asking us to look over things. So things that maybe we haven't been releasing, like I said, that we need to release are going to come to the surface, right? We are really reanalyzing things. We're looking over things that we need to change and transform. And Pluto is helping us with that. Pluto is saying, I will work with you. I will provide you the opportunity to let go of this mundane stuff. What in your mundane world, in your earthy world, in your physical world do you need to be releasing in order to help you move forward spiritually, right? What is maybe in your physical world that's keeping you held back spiritually? Whatever the case is, Pluto is helping you to discover that, to discover things that were maybe hidden from you in a sense, that are now coming up to the surface as well. There's all sorts of things, but Pluto's helping us to release as well. Pluto is the planet of change and transformation. So Pluto wants to help us transform things. Pluto wants to help us let go of things in order to transform it, right? It changes. Pluto is the planet of death, and so many people say, well, when something dies, it ends. No. When our body dies, our soul moves on, right? The energy that our body possesses still exists. The energy that whatever you were putting into that Pluto is saying change, transform, it's really encouraging us to change or transform the energies and helping us to change and transform the energies that are no longer serving us so that they can serve us, so that we can move forward and we can progress. Does that make sense? We also have, okay, so those are the good things that are helping. We have Neptune providing some clarity, Pluto coming in, helping us to change and transform the energies and the thoughts and the feelings and everything else that isn't necessarily helping us to progress forward. So it's helping illuminate all of these and helping to transform them so that they become higher vibrations and things that will help us instead of things that hold us back. We do have some challenges. So again, every full moon we have the balancing act between the moon and the sun. So every full moon we have the moon opposite the sun. The moon is about our spiritual life right now. It is in Pisces, right? So the moon is all about our tapping into those higher realms, showing that unconditional love, right? And then we have the sun in Virgo, which is all about the details, all about practicality, all about organization. It's all about the everyday life, right? So our focus right now is on everyday life. It's on our health. It's on what we need to do day to day to just survive, kind of thing. Whereas our needs right now are on spirituality. Our feelings right now, so we may feel more spiritual, but our focus may be on the physical, right? So with this full moon, it's about a balance between the physical and the emotional. It is about a balance between where we need to be versus where we want to be, and also a balance between our spiritual lives and our everyday lives, right? Are we so stuck in our spiritual life that we're neglecting our mundane life? Are we so stuck in our mundane life or our everyday life that we're neglecting our spiritual life? This moon is showing, will illuminate where we're out of balance in terms of our day-to-day lives and our spirituality, right? And where we maybe need to clean things up with that to create balance. We also have an opposition here. Just pull this up one last time. We also have an opposition here between, so you can see the opposition between the sun and the moon, right? You have the sun, the moon here, and the sun here. We also have an opposition occurring between Mars, I believe, yes, Mars and the moon. So we have the moon here, we have Mars here in Libra. So Mars is ambition, is action, is drive, right? The moon, it is our being open and receptive to things. However, when the moon is in Pisces, the moon is super chill, just wants to relax, doesn't really want to do anything. It wants to go inward. It wants to connect with spirit. When the Mars is in Libra, Mars wants to move forward. It wants to take action. It wants to connect with people. It wants to socialize. It wants to, there's this fire and air mix, and there's this big desire to socialize. So sometimes that can cause a bit of, this full moon is saying, like, this is also something we need to balance out with this full moon. It's also something that we need to be paying attention to, right? Are we maybe neglecting our spiritual lives too much because of our social lives? Are we spending too much time socializing, not enough time inside ourselves and in our spirituality and connecting with the divine? Or are we spending too much with the divine and not exactly spending time socializing and connecting with other people and doing the things we need to do on that level? Okay, it is also balancing the emotional with the mental, right? So we have balancing the emotional with the physical, with the sun and the moon, and then we have balancing the emotional with the mental with the moon and Mars, right? So again, it's asking, are you too much in your head and not tapping into your feelings and your emotions and your intuition enough? Or are you too much into your emotion, your intuition, and not tapping into the logical, rational part of yourself as well, your mental part? You know what I mean? So there's a few different things that that is being brought up. So if this is off balance for you, this full moon, and these areas aren't in balance, you will see that come up. You will see that become a thing. And you will see the need to kind of balance them out. Now, like I said, whether that's the teeter-totter, what end of that is out of balance, what end is too much, and what end isn't enough, is going to vary from person to person. So that's something you really need to pay attention to. But and follow your intuition with, right? I can't tell you that just from this alone, but I am going to tell you that there is, with this full moon, you're being called to balance your emotions with your actions, right? Your social life with your spiritual life, your head with your heart. You're being asked to balance your emotions, yourself emotionally and physically, emotionally and mentally. You're being asked to balance yourself between your wants and your needs. You're being asked to balance yourself between your spiritual life, your physical life, and your social life. Okay? So all of these things need to be in balance and working together in harmony. Otherwise, this full moon will bring that up. So that's the challenges right now, is the balance. And finding that balance and making sure those things are in balance. But you do have things helping you. Like I said previously, you have this clarity that's being brought in from the Neptune retrograde, right? It's working well with the moon. It is conjoining with the moon, so it's mixing energies with the moon. So you have this really clear intuition, this clear, your emotions aren't getting in the way of muddling things. It's a lot of clarity that you're able to see through the fog. You're able to see through the mist of things. And also what you need to be open and receptive to, moving forward to. And also you have this opportunity to release things and let things go and change and transform things. This full moon is bringing in the opportunity to transform things. So to take things that are no longer serving you and turn them into things that are serving you. right? So if you have negative energies, it's a great new moon too to work on elevating those lower vibrational frequencies and bringing them up to more higher vibrational frequencies that are going to help to serve you. So that is the full moon. I hope that you guys found this enjoyable. Another thing about this full moon too is take time to celebrate as well. So the full moon is a time where you see a cultivation of things. So if you've been really working hard to let go of things and you've successfully done it, take the time with this full moon to celebrate everything that you have let go of, and you have released, and you have changed, and you have transformed. Take time to celebrate all that as well, because it is a time of culmination and cultivation where you're cultivating the things that you kind of planted the seeds for, where you're seeing things come to a peak, right? So it's a great time, like I said too, to kind of celebrate those cultivations. If you've been able to successfully let something go and successfully change things, even if they're small things, emotionally or in whatever capacity, don't be afraid to celebrate that. You know what I mean? And be appreciative and grateful and thankful for those. The ability to surrender that, the ability to change it, the ability to transform it, the ability to release it. Okay, so that was just the last thing. I'm just going to take this off. So I hope that you guys found this helpful and that you gained some information from this. If you did find it helpful, please leave a comment in the comments below and let me know if this at all was helpful to you, if you gained any type of information from it. And I will be back to probably talk about the new moon that is occurring. The new moon will be in Libra. So in a couple weeks. So I hope you guys all have a fantastic full moon and really enjoy the season that it's in. Enjoy what you're cultivating and bringing in and what you're releasing and letting go. And just enjoy the changes. Enjoy the shifting of things. I know sometimes it's really, really, really hard to enjoy it. It's really hard to get into things, especially with the way things have been going. But try and stay positive for the future that you want, because we are creating constantly. So I hope you guys have a wonderful full moon, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Bye, guys.